Alright, so in this video we go over the third part of this first section of limit. So now we're going to look at a limit that yield different kind of values. So in this case we're not going to get a 0 over 0, but instead we are going to get a number divided by 0, and that for that we will have to look at other techniques that you will see. Nevertheless, the first thing that we do is still get the limit and plug in the value that is 2 squared minus 2 times 2 minus 8 over 2 squared minus 5 times 2 plus 6. So in this case, what do we get? In the numerator, 2 squared minus 2 times 2, which is 4 minus 8. And in the denominator, we get 2 squared, which is 4, minus 5 times 2, which is 10, plus 6, which in the numerator we get negative 8 and 0 in the denominator. However, in this case, this is not an indeterminate form. So we need to try something else. Of course, we're going to try and do some algebra. Like in this case, let's factor the trinomials. That is limit x approaches to from the left, no, from the right actually, and let's factor the polynomial in the numerator and factor the polynomial in the denominator. Factors of negative 8 that add up to negative 2, that is going to be negative 4 and plus 2. And in the denominator, factors of 6 that add up to negative 5, negative 3, and negative 2. All right, so in this case, if you notice, no factors cancel. That's because there's no 0 over 0. However, well, so we need to focus on the factor that is causing trouble in the denominator. What do we mean by causing trouble? The factor that gives the 0 in the denominator. So let me highlight that part. So this x plus 2, okay, x approaches to from the right. If we plug it in here, that is where we get the the 0 in the denominator. I'm going to highlight with green the part or the factors in the expression, in the limit expression, for which we will, in this case, plug in the value of x. So we're going to plug in the value of x for the factors in green, but not the one in purple. That is 2 minus 4 limit x approaches to from the right, 2 minus 4, which is negative 2, times 2 plus 2, which is 4, divided by 2 minus 3, which is negative 1, times x minus 2. So what are we going to have? Negative 2 times 4, which is negative 8 over negative 1, limit x approaches 2 from the right, that's 8, over x minus 2. So what are we going to do in this case? So this is going to take us back to the beginning of the section where we analyze rational functions. And if you look at this this function has the following form: 1 over x, and it's raised to an odd powers. The thing is that it has this extra 8 that actually compresses the graph, and this x and this minus 2 that shifts the graph 2 units to the left. So this is what we have to do. We will have to graph the function, number 1. Okay, let's actually draw the graph. So in this case, well, we have an asymptote at 1, 2, and well, recall that when let me write down the invisible power, this is raised to the first power. So in this case, the graph is going to have opposite infinities. If you want to review this, we'll go back to the first video where we have the first video of this section, where we have the description of those kind of graphs. Now, in this case, notice we want to approach from the right. That is, we want to do this. And where is this limit going? Notice how this is going to positive infinity. So final answer for this limit, infinity. Or DNE. Well, of course, depending on the situation. All right, for letter B, let's. By the way, there's a couple of typos on my paper, but yours are up to date. This one is supposed to be from the left, 5 from the left, and number 1, what we do is plug in the value. 5 minus 4 over 5 minus 5 quantity squared. That is 1. 5 minus 5 is 0. 0 squared is 0, which is that form. And in this case, well, there is no way that we can factor anything out even, So this is what we're going to do. We are going to focus on the factor that is causing trouble in the denominator. So what we do in this case, well, don't plug in anything here, but plug in only for the numerator. That is limit 5 minus 4, again, that's only 1, x minus 5 squared as x approaches 5 from the left. Well, so that resembles the graph of a reciprocal function, a reciprocal square function. So in this case, well, in the power in the denominator is even. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in this case, see what are we going to get. In this case, when we have an even power, either way, we go to positive infinity. So in particular, for this limit, we want to approach 5 from the left. Approaching 5 from the left, we get to positive infinity, right? And let's do one more example, 1/3 example. So again, first of all, oops, no limit symbol. We are plugging in, by the way. Square root of 3 plus 6 over 3 minus 3 cubed. Square root of 9 over 0 cubed. That's 3 over 0, which is a number over 0. And again, there's nothing we can really factor. So okay, let me write it down again. So in this case, we are going to plug in the value of x except for the factor that gives us the 0 in the denominator, that is only to the numerator. All right, so limit x approaches 3 of the square root of 3 plus 6 over x minus 3 quantity cubed, and 3 plus 6 is 9 when the square root of 9 is 3. And by the way, for this one, there's also a little typo on my PDF file. That should be 3 from the left. So this should also be 3 from the left, 3 from the left, 3 from the left. Now, we're going to look at the graph of 3 over x minus 3. And notice the odd power. Odd power is going to point to two different infinities. So the asymptote is going to have, it's going to be, oops, 1, 2, 3, and well, on the one hand it's going to go this way, and on the other hand it's going to go the other way. And again, notice how we want to approach 3 from the left. Approach 3 from the left. Where is this going? This time is going to negative infinity. Final answer. And this is where we finish this first section. So I will see you on the following section.